Is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Big exclusive tonight. Rampant drug use at the Wethersfield Asylum Centre. And we have come into possession of a piece of footage which appears to suggest that they are secretly filming women and children on a beach, and it looks as though they have smashed up a free bus that drops them off in local towns. So that's gratitude for you, isn't it? I'll show you the reality of illegal migrant accommodation that this government doesn't want you to see. Plus, Labour says it's OK to give puberty blockers to primary school kids, and
My synagogue, you're telling me where I can go. There's people outside the synagogue and you're stopping us.
Police banned a UKIP demonstration, but of course they did let Jews be hounded outside their own synagogue. And that footage that you're watching now, of course, is Greta Thunberg has been banned from Venice for dyeing the waterways green. Plus,
and may I take this opportunity to thank our outstanding British Transport Police for everything that they do to support staff and passengers.
No growth, higher taxes, the wealthy are fleeing. Another terrible day for Rachel Reeves. On my panel tonight, we have got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We have also got trade unionist Andy Twelves and the former Tory party chairman, now member of Reform, Sir Jake Berry. And what is going on here? Oh yes, and here. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Britain is mutilating children's genitals again. Next.
Very good evening to you. I believe we will be heading straight.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's breakfast.
Very good evening to you. Welcome back. Apologies for that brief interruption. We are back on course and Patrick up shortly. First, though, the headlines. Rachel Reeves is urging Labour MPs to unite behind her budget, telling a packed meeting tonight of the Parliamentary Labour Party that politics is a team sport. She insists her budget is built around three priorities: cutting the cost of living, cutting NHS waiting lists and cutting government debt. Rachel Reeves told colleagues she's proud of the plan, calling it a fair, progressive Labour budget, and promised there'll be surprises in the Commons on Wednesday, urging MPs to stay for the entire statement. She says the goal is simple: strong foundations, lower costs and a clearer path to change. Also tonight, senior BBC figures have been questioned by MPs as the fallout from the Trump Panorama edit continues to widen. The committee heard from the Michael Prescott first, the former advisor whose leaked memo accused Panorama of misleading viewers with its edit of Donald Trump's speech on the January the 6th. That edit's already sparked 2 senior resignations and a multi-billion-dollar legal threat from the US president. Then the turn of the BBC board, including Chair Samir Shah, who said he regrets the edit and admitted the corporation was too slow to act. Mr Shah told MPs the BBC should have made the decision earlier to apologise, and the delays weren't due to board pressure, but to making sure any apology was fully sourced and correct. And Nigel Farage has now personally pushed back against allegations of racist and anti-Semitic behaviour from his time at Dulwich College. The accusations have been raised by former pupils who say he used offensive chants as a teenager. Sir Keir Starmer has said the claims raise serious questions about character and accountability. But today, Mr Farage dismissed them outright and questioned why classmates from nearly 50 years ago are, he said, so suddenly confident in their recollections.
The weakest Prime Minister that I can think of in my lifetime now calls me spineless. But he does come out with some very serious accusations. He throws the charge of racism at us and at me. Funny, isn't it, according to The Guardian, how some of the people I was at school with 49 years ago seem to have such good memories.
We got there in the end. Those are the headlines. Patrick's still here. Let's cross to him right now.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, Tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Good evening. Britain and this Labour government are, in my view, experimenting with children's genitalia. We are going to give puberty blockers to hundreds of children, and there is no minimum age. Most likely, some will be about 10 years old. Now, I think this is child abuse. It is disgusting, and when it goes wrong, people need to be prosecuted. And I know what you're thinking. This was banned, wasn't it? In 2023, the Cass Review said puberty blockers had unproven benefits and significant risks. They damage bones, damage fertility and damage brain development. In December 2024, Wes Streeting banned them indefinitely. But many people at the time thought he never really wanted to.
So I'm definitely listening, but I would accept that, firstly, that's not the perception. And secondly, in terms of the listening, that people have not seen action that suggests that I've got it. And in some areas, that's because I am constrained by the clinical advice and the evidence, and particularly when you're in this job, sometimes you do have to say no to things, even when it makes you feel really uncomfortable.
OK. Well, there's always been a loophole in this ban that puberty blockers could still be injected into primary school kids if it was for, quote, clinical research. But of course, that required a team of scientists who were prepared to experiment on children's sexuality. Well, step forward, King's College London. They have been granted permission for a clinical trial that will involve 250 boys and girls, most likely aged between 10 and 15 years old, who say they have gender dysphoria. Sorry, no. It's now gender incongruence. That's the new name for it now. They've changed the name for it, they've repackaged it, and they're back at it. The young children will be injected with puberty blockers. The study will monitor their brain development, quality of life, and physical and mental health. I mean, they'll then be compared to those who are not given the drugs or given a delayed version of the drugs. And Wes Streeting announced it on social media. He's proud of it. Well, then, Wes, if you are that proud of it, I would say, on your head be it. The study will cost you, the taxpayer, 10.7 million quid. Do you want to pay for primary school children to be experimented on? Because I don't. Experimentation was done before. Studies by 2 clinics found that children who were given puberty blockers had no change to their psychological functioning. So what does that really mean? Well, it means that children who were unhappy, depressed and distressed remained unhappy, depressed and distressed after we'd basically chemically mutilated their genitals. That would be my view about what we're doing here. Why do we need more research? I mean, what next? Wes Streeting announces we need more clinical research for the impact of lobotomies or electric shock treatment or how leeches can be used to treat disease. We are living in terrifying times in Britain. In Scotland, they are considering letting people abort their babies based on the baby's gender, which is ironic given what we've been talking about, isn't it? Because it's almost like when it comes to killing a fetus, gender is real. But when that fetus is born, it isn't real anymore. But we've got the assisted dying / legalised suicide bill, where people with learning difficulties or autism might be told that they can just kill themselves.
In relation to people with various learning difficulties or autism, again, with proper assistance, they too can have that option.
Mad, isn't it? And now we've got adults looking for kids so they can experiment on their genitalia. I mean, the parents of these kids need looking at, in my view. The so-called doctors doing the research also need looking at. And because Labour and Wes Streeting have given this the green light, I think they need looking at as well. Leave the children alone. But let's get the thoughts of my panel on this. We've got Daily Express's Carol Malone. We've also got trade unionist Andy Twelves and Sir Jake Berry, now of Reform, formerly the chairman of the Tory party. Carol, obviously I've said some pretty strong stuff there. I stand by it. It makes me very, very angry.
It's an abhorrence. Using children between 10 and 16 as human guinea pigs, it is an abhorrence. You know, these drugs, you mentioned some of the effects that they have on kids. You know, there's more than that. It can lead to infertility. They can affect bone density, brain function. They can stunt growth. They can cause depression. They can, in females, hot flushes, brain fog. This is an appalling thing to inflict on young children, and it's almost coercing them because they're using them. They're using their confusion about their gender and telling them they should be taking these drugs. You know, there's a very dangerous lobby inside the NHS who are enthralled to the trans movement, and they have completely ignored the Cass report. They're riding roughshod over what she said, which was there was insufficient evidence to support the use of these drugs on children, these puberty-blocking drugs, and they're just riding roughshod over that, and they're finding ways to do it. And I don't give it stuff if it's King's College that is doing that. Just does not give it any kind of credence for me. You're still experimenting on vulnerable children, and God knows what's going to happen to them. There's a massive, let me just finish this, there's a massive detransitioning movement at the moment where people, young kids who took these drugs were persuaded by the appalling Tavistock Clinic who did this to 9,000 kids. They're now detransitioning because they've realised they were just a bit confused. They didn't want to be a different gender, but some of their lives are wrecked now.
Yeah, why are we doing this as a country now, Jay? I thought we'd moved on.
I mean, I literally have no idea. In my mind, this is a sort of state-sponsored form of child abuse. I think we'll look back at this in 20 years and we will regard this with the same horror as we did to some of the appalling treatment we've seen to people by the NHS in various different ways over the years. This is completely wrong. I don't think this is what society wants. It's right that we have a big debate about transgender and people's gender, but the idea that under the age of 16, any child is capable of realistically consenting to this sort of irreversible treatment is legally flawed and completely beyond the pale in terms of society. This is terrible, and what I would say to Wes Streeting is, you know, there is a time in your life after politics. I know I've had a time of my life after politics. You need to be able to look back at stuff and say, I did the right thing by people, by the NHS, whatever it may be. I think he will deeply, deeply regret this.
So let's say we do this study. It's going to last we're going to get some results back in about 4 years' time. So let's say that it turns out, because previous evidence would suggest that people who've already got, unfortunately, mental health problems like depression, etc., they don't get any better by you know, chemically altering their puberty. So let's say, unfortunately, we've had a raft of suicides, we've had people who have got crippling bone issues, we've got people who are never going to be fertile again, and no one's any better. Why did we need to do this study to find that out? Because that is just the, for want of a better phrase, the naked experimentation on children, isn't it?
I mean, you have naked experimentation on children all the time. That's the point of clinical trials.
You have them on adults, you don't have them on children.
There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clinical trials on the effects of drugs on children. You absolutely do. That is a reality.
Yeah, but
that is a reality.
Sorry, but the point is that they're testing drugs that they think will make them better. We know these drugs won't.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. There's not conclusive evidence. That's the point. There have been 2 trials, and that's not enough of evidence base for the government to make a recommendation. That's the point. It's a scientific principle. That's the reason I defend it. It's because we have to test it on children. I think a real story here is, you know, when we look at Manjaro, that's not being tested on children at all. That's just being made available to children. That's a real scandal that we're not testing it on children before we roll it out. This is what, 220? Is it how many people is it? 200? Is it 220? Carol, I let you talk. Please, can you let me talk, Carol?
No, because you're talking about a drug that I know about, and Manjaro, has
you did interrupt me, Carol. You had your turn to talk.
Manjaro is used for diabetes, so it has been tested thoroughly.
Well, not on children. There's been no trial on children. They just offered it to children.
You're talking.
That is the truth.
You do not
that is the
understand
truth.
About this drug.
That is the truth.
It is not the truth.
It is, Carol. And you know, clinical trials happen on kids all the time. That's the point. Kids. Carol, you had your turn. Please, can you just let me talk? Clinical trials happen on kids all the time. That's the point. We've got to build an evidence base because kids react to things differently to adults, whether it's them going through puberty or pre-puberty. Right, that is the point. We've got to build the base.
So, evidence. You want evidence base?
Yes.
These drugs have been used for the past 35 years on various people, on children and on adults. Why aren't the people at King's College looking back? You've got 30 years.
I'm sure they will.
No, they're not. They've refused to do it. They've got 30 years of data right there that they could look back. They could go and interview the children who became adults. Are they happy? What are their sex lives like? How is life for them? They don't need to start on a whole batch of new kids and do it again because they've got the data.
There's another aspect to this, which I obviously think that this is a massive mistake by the government, and I think that there's serious questions to answer about what medical professional, who will all be adults, go into a line of work where they appear to be utterly desperate to test this kind of stuff on kids. And it's huge question marks there. What about the parents?
Well, I mean, you know, as a parent, you I mean, the parents who want this for their children will think it's the right thing to do for their kids. They don't want to do harm to their own children. I just go back to that point that, as someone who's got 3 young children myself, there's 2 things I think about. Well, first of all, 10-year-old kids don't really know what they want. Their opinion changes, particularly young girls and young boys as they go through puberty. It's a life-altering moment, as all of us on this panel will know. But, you know, so parents will be doing this. They will think this is the right thing to do. I'm sorry for that, because I think they're wrong, but they will decide for their own children. But the idea that a 10-year-old can provide consent for this sort of irreversible, life-changing treatment, that they have the sophistication, the decision-making ability, the long-term view that an older person would have, can give consent to this, I just think is completely wrong. It's very different. If a 10-year-old child has leukemia, which some children tragically do, and you say, look, we're going to give this to you because we think it's a chance it will make you better. OK, even though they can't provide consent, you can see the good there. I just cannot see the good for these children.
She was talking about the part of the brain responsible for making complex decisions does not mature until your mid-20s.
Yeah.
So how, in God's name, can a 10-year-old...
They can't. Well, the parents have offered the consent on behalf of them, haven't they?
Just on, but is that not a little bit squiffy? And can I ask you, you know, if you were to have children in the future, which you may or may not do, which you may or may not do, would you sign them up for this trial?
I genuinely, I don't know. If this was the only thing that would make my 12 or 13-year-old, that they genuinely thought would make them happy, and I spoke to the very qualified scientists at KCL, you know, there's no doubt these guys have got PhDs, they've got these incredible medical and academic careers. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. I would probably trust them.
You just said they're going to try and find out what they're doing.
I would probably trust them.
They clearly don't know what they're doing.
It's a principle of research. It's a principle of experiment. It's a principle of research, Carol. We'd never make any innovations ever if you go, oh, well, you know, we're not going to do it because we don't know what it'll do.
You also just said you would ask your child if
I'd consider lots of things.
How does your child know if it's going to...
Carol, I'd consider lots of things. I would consider... As I'm sure all of these 226 parents, these sets of parents, I'm sure they spoke to their kids. I'm sure they spoke to, you know, the academics. They spoke to the scientists. They spoke to relevant people in their lives.
Come on. The other downside to this is that we are assuming that all parents are completely compass mentis. And I think that there are a lot of parents out there, and this is purely my view, but there are a lot of parents out there who are desperate to have a very interesting child, someone who's a little bit different, someone who's bought into the kind of absolute woke nonsense of this stuff, and they affirm the children's thing, and it makes those parents feel as though they are more interested.
It's a rare day. I actually think you're wrong about that. I think parents will have deeply unhappy children, and they will desperately be seeking a solution. All I would say is, this isn't the solution. And the other thing, which I don't think will be properly explored with this, is the huge correlation between young people having autism and putting themselves forward. And I say this as a father. I've got an 8-year-old autistic boy. He's non-verbal. You know, I would be deeply, deeply concerned if, I mean, it'd be hard for him because he doesn't talk, but if he communicated in some way that this is a path he wants to go down. I just think there is so much going on here. We don't know enough about it. And the damage that will be done to children is irreversible, and that is why the ban came in. That's the truth. There was a reason we put this ban in. It's not a political thing. That's why the ban came in.
This study said the kids could be on for 2 years and maybe for much longer. Much longer.
Well, look, we'll see. I just thought we were done with this conversation. I thought this topic was over, and you know,
if only.
But a Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson said young people with gender incongruence need access to high-quality, safe and effective care. We are following the CAS review, which was clear that the evidence on care for these children is lacking, and proposed this research to help provide it. Medical care must always be based on solid evidence, and children's safety must come first. Also, the Pathways trial, this is what this is called, by King's College London, describes that this approach helps researchers understand how treatment works by comparing what happens in both groups. It can show whether starting the treatment earlier is more helpful for young people, or if delaying the treatment might lead to fewer unwanted side effects. For example, people at home can make up their own minds about whether or not we need to experiment in this way on children of that age. But look, there's an action-packed show coming up as well. I've got, I think, something that's got more than the faintest whiff of two-tier policing about it. But before that, of course, it is the Christmas Great British Giveaway. Here's how you can be in it to win it.
There's just 31 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, we're just going to plough ahead, actually, and crack on with the head-to-head. Now, worshippers at St John's Wood Synagogue in London have described feeling let down by the Metropolitan Police because pro-Palestine demonstrators appeared to breach a police exclusion zone explicitly brought in to protect the Jewish community. Is a protest that's taking place right outside a synagogue, so right outside it. Now, Jews were given another stark reminder of how insecure their community can feel in modern Britain.
It's my synagogue, you're telling me where I can go. There's people outside the synagogue, you're stopping us.
Yeah, so look, while police said that they were powerless to stop a protest right outside a synagogue, they, of course, moved quickly to fully ban a UKIP demonstration in Tower Hamlets, didn't they? An area with a large Muslim population. So tonight I am asking, is this another example of two-tier policing in Britain? Now, I'm joined now by journalist and broadcaster Jonathan Sakadotti and lawyer and commentator Mahtab Aziz. Thank you very much, chaps. Jonathan, I'll start with you. What do you make of the fact that the police said that they were powerless to stop a demonstration right outside a synagogue?
Well, obviously, it's very disappointing. I suppose that's to understate it. It's disgraceful that Jews should have trouble getting into a synagogue, whatever the reason. And I would also dispute this definition of that mob as protesters or pro-Palestinian, because I don't really see how it really furthers any cause to do with Palestinian Arabs in the Middle East to obstruct Jewish people from getting into a synagogue. When we see protests, we really ought to ask ourselves, what's the point in them? It's a way of expressing an opinion, often a minority one, because otherwise the mainstream would not need convincing. But who are they trying to convince? They were trying to convince the Jews going into the synagogue. They were trying to convince the public who would see this absolute circus of hatred on the street outside, the jeers getting in the way, the thuggish behaviour outside the Jewish place of worship. No, it's not going to convince any of those people. So actually what it is an attempt to intimidate and to bully Jewish people, because that's who goes into synagogues. It's an attempt to make them feel unsafe on their streets. And that's why the police should have done everything possible, the police and the government. And it's not like they didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this sort of thing, because it's been going on week in, week out for the last 2 years at least. So really, there is no excuse.
OK, if this happened outside a mosque, Mahtab, it wouldn't have been allowed, would it?
Well, I think we need to be clear here that these protesters are mostly Jewish themselves. The reason why they were protesting outside the synagogue was because this synagogue held an event to encourage Jewish people to emigrate to Israel. Now, you have to ask yourself, is that a legitimate reason for that synagogue?
Can I just, sorry to interject here, but it's quite an important point. I'll come back to this myself, which is that I have seen evidence, and by the way, there are legal reasons, and some of those reasons, I'm not naming any names here at all, right, but there are legal reasons here involving active cases, right? But there is quite strong evidence to suggest that some of those people who were claiming to be Jewish outside there were not actually Jewish. In fact, they were quite well-known non-Jews, to put it mildly. So,
and it doesn't matter in the least bit what religion they were, if they were bullying Jews. And by the way, if you're trying to convince people not to move to Israel, Jews, that probably the stupidest thing you could do is go and intimidate them on the streets of London where they live, because that's exactly what's driving loads of Jews to want to move to Israel, the homeland of the Jewish people, where they actually can stand up for themselves against jihadists and Islamist thugs who want to stop Jews having freedom to worship, for example, in a synagogue.
All right, but sorry, let you finish your answer there. But I mean, the question really was, if there had been a protest scheduled, for example, by a group like UKIP outside a mosque, it would not have been allowed to go ahead, would it?
No, I disagree. I don't think you will find any mosque encouraging people to go to a stolen land, as has happened here. And I must quote from Rabbi Jacob Wise, who himself said that we are here to demonstrate against this illegal sale of Palestinian lands. It should be banned, he said. It should be illegal here in the UK. That's Rabbi Jacob Wise. So I'm afraid Jonathan's assertion that that this has got nothing to do with political elements, he is incorrect.
Okay, Jonathan, would you like to come back to this?
This wasn't a land sale; it was a synagogue. And if they were having an Aliyah fair, which is Jewish migration to Israel, you know what? People like you just need to wake up, get real. Israel exists. It is a country which is actually a Jewish state. It doesn't matter whether you like that or not. So if you think that gives you and other people the license to stand outside a synagogue and try and intimidate Jewish people because you think some of them might be considering going to live in Israel because they're intimidated by the people in the country who stand outside synagogues, bullying them and intimidating them. I mean, it doesn't even make sense internally, your argument. It's surprising that I think you're some kind of litigation lawyer. I wouldn't want to spend my money on somebody who has such a nonsensical argument as that. But let's be frank. It's perfectly legal to go to synagogue. It's perfectly legal for Jews to move to Israel. It's perfectly legal for Israel to exist. Perfectly legal for Israel to defend itself against jihadist thugs who raped, murdered and kidnapped. Nothing you say and nothing those thugs do outside the synagogue will stop any of those things being true.
Fine, Jonathan. Okay, good. Matto, can I just come back to this, which is that the Metropolitan Police said there is no legal mechanism to ban the protest from taking place. Well, that is a very different response. In fact, it's the opposite response they made. And I'm using it as the example because it's kind of the starkest example I can think of, which is when UKIP wanted to go and do a demonstration in Tower Hamlets. Because of fears that it might upset the local community, the UKIP demonstration was moved on to somewhere else. But when it came to a protest right outside a synagogue, the police didn't... They said there was nothing they could do about that. And it's the same police force. So why is there the discrepancy there, Massa?
I must point out that, in fact, the police had a bit of a tough job because the demonstrators arrived well before the time of the ban started. And I must say that, typical of Jonathan's propaganda, you'll see him spewing this rubbish all over the internet, but he's trying to actually legitimize something which is wrong.
Well, Jews going to synagogue is wrong. That's what I'm trying to legitimize. How dare you tell me I'm talking rubbish? You, sir, are extremely rude. You have an argument which is trying to say that Jews should be stopped from going into a synagogue in northwest London because you don't think that Jews should move to Israel. This in itself is an outrageously racist, nonsensical and aggressive argument to try and make about Jewish people. We are British people and we have every right to go to a synagogue in our own country, a Jewish place of worship. Nobody is going, and you will never stop us doing that because we are proud British people who have every right to freedom of worship in our country.
Typical of his nonsense. I'm not going to have it.
OK, look, final word on this. Matt, I do put it to you.
You're going to have it, because it's called the law. We're law-abiding citizens going to a synagogue, a Jewish place of worship. Fine. Jews going to synagogue is not something you or any thugs outside a synagogue can stop. Whether you're not going to have it or not, that's called being British. We have freedom of worship, freedom of movement, freedom to go to that synagogue, and nothing that you say or mobs...
We also have to have rules here, Jackson. One of the rules is that I have to be able to ask you both questions without you both shouting over each other.
Who disagree with you.
OK, Matab, final word to you on this. Final word to you on this. I want to ask you.
You're using rubbish.
OK, we're going to end it. All right, fine. OK, guys, all right, fair enough. Jonathan Sakadoti there, thank you very much. Journalist and broadcaster, thank you as well, lawyer and commentator Matab Aziz. There we go. One thing I will just say going forward, OK, is just a little apology to viewers and listeners, because I do try to do my best when you have these debates, especially when it's over Zoom. I get that it's unlistenable when people are shouting over each other, but there is precious little I can do if people just continue to do that. So I apologise. Please do bear with us. Coming up, Beneath the clippers and straight razor shaves as well, some Turkish barbershops are now hiding a quite shocking secret, although really it's one that I think most of us knew already. Money laundering, drug dealing and organised crime. There's been a major investigation into this and we're going to expose it live on air. Also, Greta Thunberg is back and she's banned from Venice for dyeing the canal green. Watch this space.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Well, there's further spells of heavy rain and thunderstorms across western parts of the Balkans and Italy, with snow in the Alps, but plenty of sunshine across the Canary Islands and more so into Portugal and Spain as we go through Tuesday. And like I said, heavy spells of rain and snow across the Alps, but the main focus across Italy and western parts of the Balkans, heavy spells of rain and thunderstorms. Best of the sunshine really confined to Spain as well as we go through the week, highs of up to 23 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Temperatures falling away a bit overnight. It'll be a chilly day again tomorrow, but many of us will see some late autumn sunshine and the winds will be a little bit lighter. We've seen a brisk wind today thanks to this area of low pressure. It's slowly pulling away, but it's still providing quite a few showers across northeast Scotland, northeast England, down to East Anglia. And we're seeing a few more showers now coming into West Wales, Cornwall and across Northern Ireland. In between those showery zones, many places dry with lengthy clear spells, and as the winds ease, temperatures dropping down close to freezing. There will, in fact, be a frost over parts of western Scotland and northwest England. Now, the showers across the northeast will gradually fade as we go through tonight, and so a much drier day here. Can't completely rule them out, certainly first thing, but overall a much drier day in Aberdeenshire compared to today. For western and central Scotland, a cold and for many frosty start. For Northern Ireland, the odd shower early on, but again they should be fading through the day. Anglesey, Pembrokeshire, Cornwall, Isles of Scilly, likely to see a few showers in the morning, along with northeast England, and feeding down through the North Sea. Parts of Lincolnshire and Norfolk in particular also susceptible to some showers on Tuesday morning, but they should gradually ease and many areas will be dry and fine with lengthy spells of sunshine. That sun, though, not too strong at this time of year, so it's not going to lift the temperatures too far. Still feeling chilly. If anything, these numbers down on today's values, but remember the winds will be lighter tomorrow, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. With light winds and clear skies, a widespread frost for Wednesday morning. Eastern areas staying fine and dry with some sunshine, but look at this, cloud and rain starting to edge into many western areas during Wednesday. That leads into more cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Thursday, by which time it will be quite a bit milder.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
Taxes and rent to the cost of living.
Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there.
With expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
All right, Greta Thunberg's back. The 22-year-old climate campaigner has now been banned from Venice after she and Extinction Rebellion activists dyed the Grand Canal bright green. She was fined just €150 and given a 48-hour ban. Now, I'm sorry, but I would assume that dyeing one of the most iconic sites in the world green would get you a little bit more of a fine. You pay that for a parking fine, don't you? So between cheap, questionable turbines as well and eco-activists turning waterways green, We're going to be asking whether the green movement has any grip on reality left at all. I mentioned the wind turbines there because obviously Britain could soon be relying on cheap Chinese wind turbines because Beijing can now build them for a third of the cost of European manufacturers, like those in Denmark, who are one of Britain's major suppliers. But building cheap does come with a catch. So, for example, in Australia, an urgent alert has been issued after asbestos was found inside Chinese-made turbines in Tasmania. So before we flood British waters and quite possibly the countryside with cut-price Chinese hardware, we need to ask, is this green transition or is it just a corner-cutting national disaster? Joining me now is Sean Spires, who is Executive Director of the Green Alliance. Sean, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you. I suppose we should probably deal with Greta first, shouldn't we, really? I mean, that is this stunt, really. I was amazed that this apparently only costs you €150 to dye Venice green. But what do you make of what she's done there? It's just criminal damage, isn't it?
Well, they dye the River Chicago green every St. Patrick's Day, don't they? I don't think it does any harm at all. She's just trying to draw attention to climate change, and you're very helpfully drawing attention to it. And you got me on, and that's what this is all about. Is climate change is happening, it's serious, it's costing lives, but we don't often talk about it. And people.
But
like
what does it
Greta
achieve? I mean, apart from just talking about it, okay. I mean, what does it practically achieve? Because I do think, Sean, that most people looking at that just think she's a bit of a numpty.
Well, they might do, but she gets it on the news, and it's quite hard for people like Greta to raise the profile of climate change. You know, I think I'm a keen viewer of GB News. You often talk about net zero and Ed Miliband and energy bills, etc. You don't often talk about actually what climate change is doing, the lives it's costing, the damage it's doing, the floods, the droughts, etc. And I think Greta.
But do you think that's because, I mean, we're looking at some of them now on the screen, for example. Do you think it's because it's very hard to take a lot of eco-activists seriously because they all look nuts?
Well, I haven't got the screen. There's some technical hitch.
There's people dressed I don't really know what that is, really, but there's kind of red robes and the white faces and stuff. And, you know, a lot of the time, I appreciate you are an honourable exception here, Sean, but most of the time when I get people on from groups like Just Stop Oil or Extinction Rebellion, they're already screaming at me now and telling me that I'm about to boil in my own sweat, which I think most people just find difficult to take seriously.
Yeah, I think that people get very passionate, don't they? I think the problem is the more you know about climate change, the more you read about it, the more you look at ecological problems, the more serious it gets. So there's a kind of rage that the world's not taking it seriously, which I fully understand.
Right.
I'm just too old and respectable to dress like that these days.
Well, I wouldn't describe myself as that. I mean, the other aspect, of course, is the stuff that we are doing here. I mean, you can forget your Grand Canal. I mean, things like the wind turbines, for example, that Miliband seems to be incredibly fond of. I mean, he's even serenaded one with a ukulele as well, which is we've played an iconic video about 1,000 times now. The concern about where these are coming from, so being undercut by China, there were intelligence reports which suggested that China might implement a kill switch in some of them, which could just turn them off, which would leave us in a pretty dire situation. There's also the issue that they might contain asbestos, which could be planted right across the British countryside and presumably in the water as well. What do you make of that, Sean?
Well, there's a tiny bit of asbestos being found in some brake pads for a wind turbine in Tasmania, which is regrettable. It's not a danger to human health, but it shouldn't happen. At the same time, in Australia and New Zealand, dozens of schools and preschools have been closed because asbestos is being found in sand. You know, there is asbestos around, but I don't see that leading the news. I think it's a bit of a trivial story. I think the real story is why is China investing hugely in wind turbines and solar? And that's the reason is because that's the way the world's going. They're cheap.
Well,
they're
yeah. I mean, you say that. I got a flight back this morning from Aberdeen, and I think it's
shame on you. You should have taken the train.
No, actually, I got a flight back from Aberdeen, and I actually think there's something incredibly depressing happening there that people don't like to confront. Thousands of job losses taking place. That brings with it the closure of various shops, various knock-on effects, huge impacts, the decimation of local property prices. You know, these are people's lives being sacrificed at the altar of Ed Miliband's big green agenda, and they're being told to cling on because these mythical green jobs are suddenly going to emerge in Aberdeen, which defies all logic, because Aberdeen is an oils and gas city. So why would these companies suddenly decide to just invest in green energy there? Meanwhile, in the same bit of sea, Norway has explored 33 oil wells in a year, whilst we've explored none. How many people have to lose their jobs, their homes, their livelihoods, and possibly suffer all of the mental health consequences of that before, I hope you don't mind me asking, Sean, people like you are satisfied that we are doing enough for the environment?
Well, look, the North Sea is a declining basin. There's got to be a transition, and it's got to be well handled, and you've got to have people's jobs and livelihoods at the centre of it. And I don't think Ed Miliband or anybody would disagree with that. So that's really important. But I don't know if you've ever looked at the National Grid website to see how much of our energy at any one time is being delivered by renewables. I looked at it is a rolling thing, so you could look at it now and it might have changed. But at 9:15, it was 47.5% renewables in the UK, 37.5% fossil fuels.
Why are all our bills going up
still?
still?
None of that coal, and 20 years ago, it was a third coal. So there's a transition happening here and around the world. And either we can get with it and get the jobs and get the economic advantage, and there are already 55,000 jobs, by the way, in North Sea offshore wind in this country. We can get with the advantage, or we can try and turn the clock back to the 20th century. That's the choice the country faces.
OK, but it's completely self-defeating, though. I mean, there are people now who lived and worked in Aberdeen who are now being flown over to Dubai or to places like Indonesia, for example, to do the same job over there. We're importing stuff from over there as well. And people always bang on about Norway as this great shining light of the welfare state and a socialist utopia. How do you think they fund all of that, Sean? They fund it through oil and gas, don't they?
Well, they funded it through oil and gas, and they had it obviously at the same time as us. They set up a sovereign wealth fund to plan for long-term transition. We didn't. We spent it all on tax cuts, and now we're looking
They're not really transitioning because they're still exploring. They explored 33 oil sites this year in the same bit of sea that we refuse to touch.
Yeah, but they also, for instance, have 99% of sales of motor cars this year were electric vehicles. So they are getting with part of the transition. I don't like Norway's oil and gas policies.
Right.
But I think they can see the way the world's going, and the problem is there's a lot of money in the fossil fuel industry, so as there was in the tobacco industry, and it's polluting debate. It's donating to political parties. It's actually a lot of it's sort of owned by the owner of GBNews. There's a lot of people committed to disinformation on this. It's not in the national interest.
I'm going to push on that massively, actually, because people do like to bring this up, like the idea that when I walk into the studio, there's some oil baron that's tossing bags of gold at me. I have never once, by anyone, been told that I need to be pro-oil. So I'm pro-oil and gas, mainly because I think people are losing their jobs, having their entire lives decimated, and it's complete. We are sacrificing ourselves. Someone like Ed Miliband, who is a multi-millionaire, who never has to worry about the cost of his bills, has got these big grand ideas whilst jetting off to Brazil, sending an aide to go and have a look at a 4-star hotel for him in Brazil, which he decided wasn't good enough, so he then went and stayed at a 5-star hotel, all at our expense. Complete and utter hypocrisy over this. That's what winds me up. But, you know, look, we are a bit pressed for time here now, and I'm obviously getting some kind of instruction in my ear from my resident oil baron who's telling me that I need to move on. But we're going to have to go, I'm afraid, Sean. But thank you, though. Thank you. Sean Spicer, who's Executive Director of the Green Alliance. Right, OK. Coming up, yes, well, I've got quite a big exclusive for you, actually. This is the Wethersfield Asylum base. I have got exclusive footage of them. Well, frankly, there's just widespread drug and alcohol abuse at that site.
As officers continue to search this business, the Albanian owner arrived. He now faces the prospect of a much higher fine, with tougher penalties for businesses.
But next, it's finally the truth about those Turkish barbershops.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
GBNews, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GBNews family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Take a look down your local high street and the chances are you'll see a Turkish barbers. In fact, you'll probably see a few. Cheap cuts, close shaves, even the odd massage thrown in. Well, these businesses offer a range of services, often at a reasonable price. Business is booming, but what has been noticeable recently is the sheer scale of those businesses, with the average number of Turkish barbers per 10,000 people doubling in a decade. Now, we all think many of these are fronts for money laundering, drug dealing and organised crime. But now an investigation by Danny Shaw for the Daily Telegraph, well, has largely confirmed a bit of this for us. So I'm very pleased to be joined by the man himself now. Thank you very, very much, Danny. Go on, what have you found then about these Turkish barber shops?
Well, I was a bit sceptical when I was asked to investigate this for the Telegraph, but actually what I have found is really disturbing, is that in many high streets across the country, you're seeing these barbershops, these Turkish-styled barbershops. Doesn't mean that they're run by Turks. Sometimes they're run by Albanians or Iraqi Kurds or Iranians in some cases. And what you find is that when you go in there, they're empty, or almost empty. There are hardly any customers. And you're left wondering, well, how on earth are you making ends meet with business rates, with overheads and with rent and so on? And what it appears is that many of them are supplementing whatever income they get from offering haircuts with money laundering services, or actually as bases for drug dealing, or in some cases as places where people who are illegally in the UK are actually being housed, are actually being accommodated. And I've seen this for myself. I've seen places, barbershops in a town in West Suffolk where you would not expect this kind of thing to be happening, when there were very, very suspicious activities taking place in those two. And that's just on a short visit.
How did you find this out? You know, how did you actually go about this investigation then? Because it's a quite brave thing to go and start investigating all of these potential drug dealers and organised criminals.
Well, there's a large-scale operation across the UK led by the National Crime Agency. It's called Operation Machinize, and they've been trying to tackle this problem, together with vape shops and convenience stores that are being used as a front for crime. They conducted some enforcement visits in this market town, Haverhill, in West Suffolk. And it was eye-opening, actually, what I saw. In one barber shop that they visited at that time, there were makeshift beds, you know, behind the very pristine front of the barbershop. If you go into a barbershop, it looks spotlessly clean in many cases, doesn't it? You know, very shiny floors, lamps overhead, barber chairs, leather, all the sort of, you know, everything you would need to be a barbershop. But then, you know, you actually go behind the door and what you find is makeshift beds. Clearly it's accommodation for people who are potentially being exploited. At another barbershop, there was some very suspicious activity taking place around the back where one of the young men who was working there was loading something into a car. When police asked him to have a look, they looked in the boot. What they found was a bag, see-through bag full of £1 coins and another bag, a black plastic bag, full of bundles of £50 notes and £20 notes. £1,000, roughly, was in that bag. Now, they could have been takings from that shop. But that shop was empty on the day that I was there. Why would you store your takings in the boot of a car? That's what I mean,
a lot of people will be asking, sorry, we've only got about 30 seconds on this, but a lot of people will be asking, why don't police now just look at these Turkish barbershops on every single high street and just raid them to check?
Well, they are doing that, but it's a question of scale, isn't it, Patrick? Because there are thousands of these places. Some of them mix their legitimate business with the illegal business, so it's quite difficult to tell. You have to really scrutinise the accounts and go into banking and so on and try and get that to help you. But there is some efforts underway, but clearly a lot more to do.
All right, look, thank you very much. I would urge everyone to read that investigation, lengthy investigation, a lot of work into it. Danny Shaw there, of course, who's the Home Affairs journalist at The Telegraph. Right, loads more coming your way, including an inside scoop, again, on RAF Wethersfield.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Temperatures falling away a bit overnight. It'll be a chilly day again tomorrow, but many of us will see some late autumn sunshine and the winds will be a little bit lighter. We've seen a brisk wind today thanks to this area of low pressure. It's slowly pulling away, but it's still providing quite a few showers across northeast Scotland, northeast England, down to East Anglia. And we're seeing a few more showers now coming into West Wales, Cornwall and across Northern Ireland. In between those showery zones, many places dry with lengthy clear spells, and as the winds ease, temperatures dropping down close to freezing. There will, in fact, be a frost over parts of western Scotland and northwest England. Now, the showers across the northeast will gradually fade as we go through tonight, and so a much drier day here. Can't completely rule them out, certainly first thing, but overall a much drier day in Aberdeenshire compared to today. For western and central Scotland, a cold and for many frosty start. For Northern Ireland, the odd shower early on, but again they should be fading through the day. Anglesey, Pembrokeshire, Cornwall, Isles of Scilly, likely to see a few showers in the morning, along with northeast England, and feeding down through the North Sea, parts of Lincolnshire and Norfolk in particular, also susceptible to some showers on Tuesday morning. But they should gradually ease and many areas will be dry and fine with lengthy spells of sunshine. That sun, though, not too strong at this time of year, so it's not going to lift the temperatures too far. Still feeling chilly. If anything, these numbers down on today's values, but remember the winds will be lighter tomorrow, so perhaps you won't feel quite as cold. With light winds and clear skies, a widespread frost for Wednesday morning. Eastern areas staying fine and dry with some sunshine, but look at this, cloud and rain starting to edge into many western areas during Wednesday. That leads into more cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Thursday, by which time it will be quite a bit milder.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB 17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain's economy is at a crossroads.
And this budget day, every decision counts.
From taxes and rent to the cost of living. Whatever the outcome, the GB News family will be there.
With expert analysis breaking down what it means for you.
Budget day, all day Wednesday.
Only here on the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys on a big exclusive tonight. I'm going to expose rampant drug use at the Wethersfield Asylum Centre. Plus, they are secretly filming women and children on a beach, and they've smashed up the free bus that drops them off at local towns. That's gratitude, isn't it? Cheers, lads. I'll show you the reality of illegal migrant accommodation that this government and the refugee charities don't want you to see. Plus, Labour says that it's OK to give puberty blockers to primary school kids, and
It's my synagogue. Don't tell me where I can go. There's people outside the synagogue. You're stopping us.
more two-tier policing. Police banned a UKIP demonstration, but they let Jews be hounded outside their own synagogue. Also, well, Greta Thunberg has been banned from Venice for dyeing the waterways green. Plus,
7%. And may I take this opportunity to thank our outstanding British Transport Police for everything that they do to support staff and passengers.
no growth, higher taxes, the wealthy are fleeing. Another terrible day for Rachel Reeves. On my panel tonight, we've got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, we have got trade unionist Andy Twelves, and the former chairman of the Tory party, now a Reform Party member, Sir Jake Berry. What's going on here? I've actually got the woman in that burqa on the next show, in the next hour, and here as well. What's going on? Get ready, Britain. Here we go. I'm going to show you footage from RAF Wethersfield, the migrant base, that this government doesn't want you to see. Next.
Very good evening to you. It's just after 10 o'clock. The headlines this hour. Rachel Reeves is urging Labour MPs to unite behind Wednesday's budget, with tax rises now all but certain after a downgrade in the UK's growth forecast. Speaking to the Parliamentary Labour Party tonight, the Chancellor said politics is a team sport, telling MPs the budget is a package, not a pick and mix, and insisting she's proud of it. She says it will focus on three priorities: cutting the cost of living, cutting NHS waiting lists and cutting the cost of debt. But frustration on the backbenches is growing as Rachel Reeves prepares to rise taxes to fill a multi-billion-pound hole in the public finances and to avoid what business groups are warning could be death by 1,000 taxes. Senior BBC figures have faced MPs today after a leaked memo reignited claims of bias and led to 2 major resignations. Former adviser Michael Prescott defended his memo, accusing Panorama of misleading viewers with its edit of Donald Trump's speech on January the 6th. Then the BBC board was pressed on governance. The broadcaster's chair, Samir Shah, said his job is now to steer the ship and start the search for a new Director General, insisting the board is united. Shah went on to admit that there had been disagreements over how quickly the BBC apologised, but denied any political interference, calling talk of a coup nonsense. But with legal threats still live from the US president and questions unresolved, the crisis isn't over yet. Nigel Farage has expanded on his response to allegations of racist and anti-Semitic comments made as a young teenager, dating back to his time in college, saying today he never targeted anyone with intent. He told broadcasters he can't remember everything from nearly 50 years ago, but insisted he has never directly racially abused anybody. The claims were first made by former school pupils, and Farage's spokesman previously denied them outright. Labour figures, though, say the remarks raise serious questions about judgment, while the Reform leader claims accusations rely on selective memory from half a century ago.
The weakest Prime Minister that I can think of in my lifetime now calls me spineless. But he does come out with some very serious accusations. He throws the charge of racism at us and at me. Funny, isn't it, according to The Guardian, how some of the people I was at school with 49 years ago seem to have such good memories.
Sir Keir Starmer has said there's been real progress, but still hard yards ahead as he prepares to lead fresh talks on a possible peace plan for Ukraine. Downing Street says US-Ukraine negotiations in Geneva marked a major step. That's after weeks of pushback from Europe over proposals that could limit Ukraine's military or even force it to give up territory. Sir Keir says any deal must deliver a just and a lasting peace, stressing Ukraine must decide its own future. He also confirmed he'll host a virtual meeting of the Coalition of the Willing tomorrow.
It's got to be just, and obviously matters for Ukraine have to be determined by Ukraine. But it's also got to be lasting. It's got to endure. So that's the focus. There's more work to do. As you know, along with President Macron, I've been leading the Coalition of the Willing, which is a group of countries that have put in place support for Ukraine, particularly capability. And I'm now planning that we will meet virtually tomorrow. So we will host a Coalition of the Willing call to further discuss the progress that is being made and I hope can be made.
And a volcano in Ethiopia has erupted for the first time in nearly 12,000 years, blasting ash 9 miles into the sky and sending plumes drifting across the Red Sea. The Haile Gubby volcano started erupting on Sunday, with residents describing a huge explosion and shockwave like a bomb. There are no reports of casualties, but officials say entire villages have been covered in ash, leaving livestock with little to eat and threatening local livelihoods. I think that was a picture of the volcano. I'm not quite sure. Those are the latest headlines. I'll be back with you at 11.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Good evening. GB News has uncovered evidence of what appears to be brazen drug and alcohol misuse from inside the RAF Wethersfield Asylum Centre. And they appear to be bragging about it by posting videos on social media. One video was posted as recently as today, and it appears that they are openly smoking drugs in their rooms. Well, it also appears that they are going off-site to take drugs as well. This comes after a video emerged last week of asylum seekers having some sort of indoor rave at the RAF Wethersfield site, and now we can reveal that they appear to be taking the party outside too. Now, as many viewers and listeners will know, the illegal immigrants are also given free bus rides into local towns like Chelmsford, Colchester, Braintree, etc. But this clearly isn't good enough for some of them. Here's a video of what we believe shows one of their buses after they smashed it up. So there you go, it's on your screens right now, I'll talk you through it. I mean, look, you can see the windows are all smashed there, aren't they? Glass everywhere. I mean, these are the buses that are used to shuttle them all around different areas. They're allowed to come and go as they please. No problems at all. I mean, there are concerns, of course, about what these illegal migrants do once they've been dropped off in these towns and villages. And this is a video posted on social media by someone whose location on Snapchat was listed as the RAF Wethersfield base. So if we play that clip for you now, it would appear that they... Oh, OK, all right, well, I think that's the one, yeah, if we play the one of them walking on the beach, yeah, there we go. I think that's that. So they've got women in bikinis there, kids, etc. I mean, it's all, I would argue this is quite weird stuff. So this is posted on the Snapchat story of someone whose location was at RAF Wethersfield, and they seem to be lingering a little bit, and you'll see it there. I mean, obviously we've blurred them out for obvious reasons, but they linger, the camera there, on women and young women in bikinis and in their swimsuits. Very odd, I think, a bit sinister, I would say. And today we were told that there is a new drop-off location for some of those buses that you see leave from RAF Wethersfield into Chelmsford. It's on East Hill Road. Now, the problem here, apart from arguably all of it, is that there's a nursery school there. You'll be able to see a preschool, actually, which would seem like a recipe for disaster, would it not, given some of the behaviour of these people that we've shown you before, to be dropped off somewhere near a preschool. Well, we approached the company in charge of managing that Wethersfield Asylum Centre. They have not got back to us. We also approached Essex Police about that rampant drug use on the site. Now, they said, well, they couldn't help us when it came to providing a comment. Now, I think most people would have thought that when provided with evidence of drug use somewhere, the police might want to go round and have a look. But apparently not. Now, there is a catalogue of bad behaviour from this site, which I've demonstrated over the course of the last few days. Allegations of criminal damage, allegations of sexual harassment, drug and alcohol misuse, apparent voyeurism as well. And now I would like to thank the group Stop the Wethersfield Buses for being good enough to provide me with all of those videos that you've seen today. But it shouldn't take locals to do their own investigations and then tip me off so that I can highlight it and we try to get this madness stopped. If it's happening at Wethersfield, I bet it's happening at every one of these sites. and we shouldn't have to live like this. Just get the thoughts of my panel. Got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We're also going to be joined by trade unionist Andy Twelves and the former chairman of the Tory party, now Reform member, Sir Jake Berry. Carol, I mean, yeah, you've got videos posted as recently as today from people who appear to be inside that site just openly smoking drugs. I mean, what's going on, really? It's ridiculous.
Well, we know what's going on. This would not be allowed to happen in other countries in Europe because these people would be deported by now. In Germany, in Sweden, in Denmark, they're all now taking very stern action against people who are doing exactly what you've just highlighted, committing crimes, taking drugs. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we saying to them, if you break the law here, if you follow people, harass people, upset people, you're going to be chucked out. But we don't chuck anybody out. You know, if these people behave like this in their own countries, they would be jailed or even worse. And yet they come to soft-touch Britain and they know that nothing is going to happen to them. It's why they're coming here, because they know nothing's going to happen. Other European countries have got tougher now. And it's, you know, there is no consequences for any action. And I'm sick of being told that we can't deport people because the ECHR doesn't allow it. I'm sorry, the ECHR applies in Germany, in France, in Italy, and yet they are defying it and deporting people. And it's time we did the same, because these people are wandering around outside this detention centre, drunk, drugged up, and causing havoc in the local community. God knows what offences. And we know that the offences they commit are being hidden by the cops and by the local authorities. Why? Because they are so bad.
Well, this is it. Now, I don't know if we might be able to play that clip of the individual who's walking down the beach again. So what was happening there was that when you post a story on Snapchat, I learnt today, you can search a location. Anyone can search a location, and you can see what people have been posting stories from there. And this was posted from inside RF Wethersfield. Now, we've obviously blurred out various different things here because no one, you know, deserves to be identified. This individual did not blur anything. He lingers for a long time on a woman in a bikini who appears to be tending to some quite young children who, by the way, are also not really wearing any clothes. And by that multicoloured parasol there are two young ladies in swimwear. You know, he's filming them and he's posting these videos. You know, I think this is really, really sinister stuff. And it seems to be going on all the time here.
It begs the question, who on earth are we allowing to invade our country in this way? You know, these doctors and engineers, as we were told by the government, all these boats full of doctors and engineers, it's clearly not true. These people are criminals. We know they're criminals, by the way, because they're entering this country illegally. So the minute they get on that boat and put a foot on British land, they are criminals. Why are they still here? Why are we paying to keep these drug takers, alcohol abusers, van-smashing individuals in the United Kingdom? Any government with a backbone would round them up and get them out of this country. And you can have all the humanitarian, bleeding heart arguments as you want. I do not want these people in Britain. They are not the right people for Britain. They are criminals, and they shouldn't be allowed to stay in our country.
Yeah, I mean, again, look, we played a few clips there of some of the drug use that was taking place there, really brazenly filming it, but not trying to hide it at all. I don't know if we might be able to just bring another one of those up on screen. I'll put it to you, Andy. You know, when it comes to the police, the local police, they obviously know there are huge issues at this site. Over the course of the last few days, you were on Friday, I think we did a piece on it. You know, massive issues there when it came to alleged sexual harassment, when it came to, you know, alleged criminal damage, all of this stuff. You know, now we've got, you know, I mean, that guy's just made a bong, right? And he just appears to be inside. I mean, there's loads of this stuff that's going around as well. Why don't the police just raid this place and check it for drugs and get rid of the drugs? And then if you're caught with drugs, I'm sorry, you're not getting asylum.
Yeah, I think they probably should. To be honest, I think they shouldn't probably be allowed to go busing around to towns. They definitely shouldn't be smashing up buses. I remember on Friday some damage in the actual RAF base. There's damage. Obviously, that shouldn't happen. I think on the drinking, to be honest, I do have bigger things to worry about than whether a couple of migrants have got some party cups. I think is that vodka? I think that's vodka there. I think that's probably fine.
It's also next to a load of cannabis.
But do you know what I mean? If they're having... I think there are much bigger issues for the Essex police to deal with than a spliff and a bit of alcohol. I think the criminal damage, the voyeurism, yeah, definitely. But I think a bit of vodka and a spliff, I do not think that's the end of the world.
And when they've taken drink, they then are allowed to roam free in the streets of whichever town they're close to.
I think they should be. I think it should be contained in a secure facility.
For young
I agree.
women.
We agree. They should be detained. And what will really stick in the craw, I think, of GB News viewers is the fact that they're getting up early in the morning, going to work, paying tax, for these people to be given that money to go out and splurge it on drugs, splurge it on alcohol, go out, they're being bussed to towns to take part allegedly in some criminal activity. One of the things you've uncovered on this brilliant report is stolen goods, people's identity, ID, driving licence, a woman's driving licence. Yeah, so they are taking our money and using it to go out and commit crimes. How does that make you feel?
It's even worse as well, because a lot of them are absconding permanently from the detention centre and just disappearing. And I read in this report today that some of them have disappeared having been tested positive for scabies and tuberculosis, diseases that are under control in this country and which they will now be spreading. And this is just, it's beyond belief that we're allowing our country to... You just used the word invasion before. That's exactly what is happening.
I don't think it is an invasion.
But it is,
I don't think it is an invasion. It's not an invasion.
What
is it?
I don't think it's an invasion. I do not think it's an invasion.
In small communities where 400 young lads come in, that's an invasion.
Your man Nigel Farage says that we need to be careful with the words we use because they could, incite violence. I think we should keep that principle the same when we talk about migrants as we are Farage and his traitor pals.
In a small town near where this RAF station is, and there's 400 young lads drunk and drugged wandering around your town, you would say
I think living next to an RAF base, I would imagine that there are lots of RAF airmen that are often drunk there.
Sorry. I do think, I do like you, mate. I'm very glad that you come on and you put your case forward. Don't get me wrong, but I think comparing brave RAF servicemen and women to drunken, drugged up, potentially sex criminals from...
everyone's a potential sex criminal, Patrick. The video you saw there, there was what, was that a litre bottle between, 8 or 9 of them?
Wait, there's loads
having a drink. Come on.
Criminality.
Come on.
So smashing up places, everything else.
I said that was wrong. I said that was wrong.
Willing to make excuses for people.
I'm saying we need to...
Does something bad have to happen, depressing as this is, to someone you know, before you take this seriously? Because, because it is happening. It is happening to people you don't know. It is happening to people who live in this area. And the big thing that winds me up about all of this is that it's taking, after years and years and years of being told that everything's fine, that there's nothing going on, there's no evidence of criminality increasing in places around these migrant hotels or these migrant bases, it turns out that actually if you look for it and you have to do a lot of digging and you have to work really hard to find it and people have to take some serious risks in order to expose it, it is there. And we're just not being told about it.
But it's not there, Patrick. It's not just there. This is being injected to every community up and down England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. This is a problem everywhere. It's not, there's only a few RAF bases. It's houses and multiple occupations. It's the hotel. And to pick you up and say it's not language you would use to describe this as an invasion.
I wouldn't.
Well, in the last 3 years, more migrants have illegally entered the UK than British service personnel were sent over to D-Day to retake the whole of Western Europe. Okay. So what would you call that if it's not an invasion?
I wouldn't call it an invasion. I think the issue is, criminal damage to buses or to the RAF bases, voyeurism, sexual harassment. I would say those are genuine things that we can criticise, we can call out, and we should scrutinise. I think when you put those, as important as they are, next to them having a bit of a spliff and a drink in a base, I think you do delegitimize the argument. Genuinely, I do not think it's the same thing at all. It is really not that.
Drink. It's what they do when they've had both of those things.
I thought they wanted Sharia law. I thought this invasion was about Sharia law. Why are they drinking and smoking if it's about Sharia law?
I don't think anyone said it's about Sharia law.
Often the argument is that they're coming here, they're invading, and they're going to give us Sharia law. Why are they drinking and smoking?
You just brought that in because you've lost...
Well, no, I don't think I have at all.
Well, we do already have Sharia courts.
We have lots of religious courts in this
United Kingdom.
How many other religious courts do we have in this United Kingdom? Tell us about the other religions that have courts.
You asked about Sharia courts.
I didn't.
The point is,
I said Sharia law courts.
If you had a government with a backbone, these people would not be here.
So
they should not be here when they arrive on this island.
The government of which you will remember.
Well, I disagree with them. I actually am one of the few Conservative MPs who voted for them to go further on the Rwanda policy. No one will be happier than me to see these individuals sent out of the country to Rwanda.
And it was the Labour Party.
It was the Labour Party. It was the Labour Party that reversed that. These people should not be in this country.
How many people are going to go to Rwanda?
Crimes in this country. He's right that they've been hidden from us for so long about migrants.
Correct.
And there's lots of information.
For so long. The Labour Party have been in power 18 months, and you're blaming the Labour Party.
Can I just finish? There's lots of stats have come out this year. For instance, 70% of Afghans are more likely to commit 70% of sexual crimes in this country. That has been hidden
What's your source
from
for
us
that?
until now.
What's the source for that?
Office of Budget Responsibility.
Why would the Office of Budget Responsibility be talking about
I don't care
sex
why
crimes?
they have. They did.
Do you mean the ONS?
Do you think I'm lying?
Do you mean the ONS? I think you've got it wrong and you're quoting these statistics.
Office for Budget Responsibility.
I don't think the Office for Budget Responsibility would be talking about sex crimes, Karen.
All I will say about this is, look, it's good to have a robust debate, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I am genuinely very, very, very concerned about the kind of behaviour that we're seeing there, the fact that I think that is probably replicated pretty much everywhere you have one of these bases, and the fact that now that a lot of these people, by the time this footage gets to us, may well have been moved out to house in multiple occupancy, and they're just living in a place like Stoke or somewhere, and they're just plonked next to someone. And, you know, I feel it very personally and very deeply. I don't want anyone to have to suffer as this. Just because it hasn't happened to someone I know yet doesn't mean that I don't think it should be. It should all be stopped. But anyway, we went to the Home Office. They said while the minibus footage is 2 years old, it shows behaviour which is completely. Hang on a minute. So you're going like, oh. Like that about that. You know, they're now probably in an HMO. I mean, not all that.
I mean, 2 years ago.
So some of that footage was yesterday, right?
I think it would be useful if you put the dates on the footage.
Great.
To be fair.
Okay, so that footage now. So that person could be living next door to someone you care about. They've smashed up a minibus, drugged up out to their eyeballs, but you're okay with that?
Come on, I think it's unfair in your monologue to go after the Labour government when you're saying it's 2 years old.
No,
I mean, come on.
Labour government, I've been very
in your monologue, you did criticise the Labour government, saying they've put these people in our communities, and it's 2 years old.
Well, they are.
I think
Every day of the week,
I think you should date the footage. I think you should date the footage.
Loads of footage is today. I'm sorry, mate. One day something terrible is going to happen to someone you know.
I think you should date the footage.
You're going to realise that you should have cared.
You can't go on the big rhetoric against the Labour government when it's 2 years old.
Sorry,
some of it's 2 years old. Some of it's.
It should be dated. It should be dated.
Do you think it's so? Okay. Do you think it's stopped happening now? Everything.
No, I think it's unfair to pair the rhetoric with the evidence when it was 2 years old. I think it's unfair.
Your government is in power now. Are they?
I mean, it's our government. It's the government
who are committing these.
They're deporting more people than ever before, Carol.
They're not.
They are. They are.
We're going to have to go. So there you go. So they say, look, we expect all perpetrators of criminal damage to face the full force of the law. This government has sent a clear message to those with no right to be here, with nearly 50,000 illegal migrants removed or deported since the election. We've approached Ready Homes and Essex Police for comment, and we are awaiting response. But yes, there we go.
Can we also just clarify that a lot of the people who've been deported wanted to go and were paid to go?
All right. Okay. Look, lots to come, including the night before Christmas budget, as it probably is going to be. But look, you can get your hands on some cash here. We seem to be giving everything away to everybody else, so why not have 40 grand on us?
There's just 31 days until Christmas, and it's the final week to see how you can enjoy it on us. That's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 fantastic. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family, the tree and decorations. £1,000 in vouchers to buy a slap-up Christmas lunch at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. Plus, we're going to get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. The winner may be contacted live on GB News, week commencing the 8th of December. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Sorry, I've just had some information come through to me there that which actually is not necessarily great news for you, Andy, to be fair. Sorry, mate. But that footage of the minibus is not 2 years old. Nothing was from 2 years old.
Then why would the Home Office say that?
Yeah, I know, because they're not telling the truth.
Well, I think I would trust the Home Office more than...
Okay, well, I know...
Because the Home Office gets everything right.
I mean, come on.
I've been sent the date from the person who took the footage, and they've confirmed that it is not...
Then what would the Home Office talking about?
Oh, exactly, mate. It's almost like a cover-up, isn't it?
No, it's almost like they've done it before and we've not heard about it.
There you go. Right, OK. Look, loads coming your way. Yeah, we are going to be talking about the budget, of course, so watch out for that. Yeah, OK. And, yeah, we're just going to be talking about the budget, so let's do that.
From the the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
So many people within the armed services now can say that they owe their lives if they were, shall we say, work in the Middle East and in Afghanistan, in Iraq before that, actually owe their lives to the fact that it was dogs that they sent out to see whether or not there were explosives in a building, whether they were going through a minefield or whatever. So I think we were just talking previously, of course, Hannibal uses elephants. And there has not been a single year since the end of the Second World War when we have not had a conflict of some sort, and animals are still being used. We don't have horses used in the same way, obviously. We still had the cavalry, which is why 8 million horses were lost. Horses, donkeys and mules were lost in the First World War. But they weren't just the cavalry horses. They were the horses that were pulling the guns, that were delivering the armaments, that were carrying out the wounded. And what is interesting is, today in the 21st century, in Ukraine, who are leading the way in using drones in modern warfare, they are doing what they did in the First World War, and they're using horses, donkeys and mules to take the wounded out. The wonderful memorial that we have on Park Lane, it's there and it recognises that it was horses, dogs, donkeys, mules, and if you look, because they have individual statues of them, but if you actually look at the memorial itself, you will see pigeons, dolphins. I mean, we know that dolphins are being used. As human beings, we share this planet with millions of other animals. And for centuries, we have used certain animals and abused them, used them and abused them, and got them into service with us.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, we are less than 48 hours away from Rachel Reeves' budget. If you haven't already fled the country, here's what you can expect. A big welfare giveaway that will cost us 15 billion quid. She's set to scrap the two-child benefit cap entirely. There's a lot of foreign kids, of course, and foreign people's kids that we need to pay for. Reducing the annual cash ISA limit from 20k to £12,000. She's going to introduce a mansion tax. And council tax is going to rise for tens of thousands of people. Today, the OBR downgraded Britain's growth forecast, and the Business Secretary admitted that Labour's tax hikes are driving people out of the country. All this is news that has just come out today, so I shudder to think what we will find out tomorrow. I'm joined now by the Director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. Mark, thank you very, very much for joining us. Yeah, I mean, look, this is pretty disastrous stuff, isn't it?
Oh, Patrick, it's going to be nightmarish. The only question is, how nightmarish is it going to be? Is it going to be a 15 certificate movie, an 18 certificate movie, or a snuff movie? I mean, it's going to be somewhere on that spectrum. It is going to be a disaster, economically and politically. What she's trying to do economically, given that the government can't seem to save a single penny of money in the public sector, is she's floated and now abandoned endless big tax rises, apparently, like income tax. So expect lots of little small taxes to be announced on Wednesday. There's a suggestion that the sugar tax will now be applied to milky drinks like milkshakes, for example. I mean, brilliant. That's just what the country needs at the moment, isn't it? So we're going to get higher taxes. You've just mentioned spending is going up on welfare, not something that triggers growth at all. More spending, more taxes. Politically, What's going to be fascinating is how do the Labour benches on Wednesday respond to this? Because usually the Chancellor of the Exchequer comes up with whatever her or his plan is, and there are raucous cheers from behind, and people appear on the media afterwards saying it's the best thing they've ever heard. I don't suspect we're going to see much of that. And I suppose there's a third thing as well. What will the market reaction be? I'm expecting all of these to be bad. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings. Things are going to get bad on Wednesday, and I suspect we'll be back in the same position, but in a worse scenario a year from now.
And what are we going to do about all these people that are leaving? Because, I mean, the numbers are absolutely astonishing on this. We've had record numbers of people leaving in a single year. We've even got the business secretaries now admitting that that's actually happening and it is because of taxes, etc. What are we going to do about that?
Well, I can tell you what I'd do about it, Patrick, but the government would probably do the opposite. We have fleeced successful rich people for far too long. If you are earning or have made a handsome sum of money, I want more of such people in the country. Our problem isn't that we've got too many billionaires. Our problem is we haven't got enough. Even if you're decently well off, the taxes that have increasingly been put on your shoulders are likely to encourage you to at least look around and just decide whether Dubai or America or Singapore might be a better option. You've got to cut tax. We have to get away from this complete myth that we can pay for everything just by taxing the richest 1 or 2%, because that richest 1 or 2% are fleeing, and then you come after the next 1 or 2%, and they'll flee before you know it. We need highly successful rich people in this country, and the entire tax system gears them towards thinking that they would go away. I mean, just here's a number to conjure with, Patrick. The top 1% of earners in Britain pay nearly a third of income tax. So if that 1% leave, and I'm not suggesting all of them will, but if that 1% leave, that's a third of all income tax gone by 1% of the population. So you need to set up a tax system that applauds people who make lots of money, that doesn't hound them out. But there's no chance we're going to see a whisker of that on Wednesday. Indeed, the opposite. There's likely to be much higher taxes imposed on properties worth more than 2 million quid. So again, if you're a rich person who has gone or thinking of going, or a rich person elsewhere in the world who might want to come to the UK, all of the signals you're going to get on Wednesday and beyond are don't come here, and if you are here, leave. That is a very, very bad and bleak picture, and we're now in a doom loop. We are going to be in Groundhog Day. There'll be another black hole next year, which Rachel Reeves will need to fix. So I'm sorry to be, as I say, the bearer of such bad tidings, Patrick, but it's going to be bad on Wednesday. Yeah. It's going to get worse from there.
I mean, those two things go hand in hand, I think, those last two stories that we've covered there, which is the mass importation of people who seem content to just sit around and smoke cannabis and drink alcohol and film young women on beaches all day, versus people who actually started businesses, done well for themselves, and decided that they quite like the look of Dubai now. But, Marla, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid, mate. Thank you very much, as ever. I know you're going to be busy for us on Wednesday. Mark Littlewood there, the director of Popular Conservatives. Look, coming up, we've got all of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. Expect some corkers to be on there. I'll reveal all when we come back.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Well, there's further spells of heavy rain and thunderstorms across western parts of the Balkans and Italy, with snow in the Alps, but plenty of sunshine across the Canary Islands and more so into Portugal and Spain as we go through Tuesday. And like I said, heavy spells of rain and snow across the Alps, but the main focus across Italy and western parts of the Balkans, heavy spells of rain and thunderstorms. Best of the sunshine really confined to Spain as well as we go through the week, highs of up to 23 degrees.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Temperatures falling away a bit overnight. It'll be a chilly day again tomorrow, but many of us will see some late autumn sunshine and the winds will be a little bit lighter. We've seen a brisk wind today thanks to this area of low pressure. It's slowly pulling away, but it's still providing quite a few showers across northeast Scotland, northeast England, down to East Anglia. And we're seeing a few more showers now coming into West Wales, Cornwall and across Northern Ireland. In between those showery zones, many places dry with lengthy clear spells, and as the winds ease, temperatures dropping down close to freezing. There will, in fact, be a frost over parts of western Scotland and northwest England. Now, the showers across the northeast will gradually fade as we go through tonight, and so a much drier day here. Can't completely rule them out, certainly first thing, but overall a much drier day in Aberdeenshire compared to today. For western and central Scotland, a cold and for many frosty start. For Northern Ireland, the odd shower early on, but again they should be fading through the day. Anglesey, Pembrokeshire, Cornwall, Isles of Scilly, likely to see a few showers in the morning, along with northeast England, and feeding down through the North Sea. Parts of Lincolnshire and Norfolk in particular also susceptible to some showers on Tuesday morning, but they should gradually ease and many areas will be dry and fine with lengthy spells of sunshine. That sun, though, not too strong at this time of year, so it's not going to lift the temperatures too far. Still feeling chilly. If anything, these numbers down on today's values, but remember the winds will be lighter tomorrow, so perhaps it won't feel quite as cold. With light winds and clear skies, a widespread frost for Wednesday morning. Eastern areas staying fine and dry with some sunshine, but look at this, cloud and rain starting to edge into many western areas during Wednesday. That leads into more cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Thursday, by which time it will be quite a bit milder.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome along to Patrick Christys tonight. Let's do the papers. We start with The Independent. Reeves warned of growth crisis on the eve of the budget. So there we go. Watchdog to slash the forecast, I believe, actually all the way until the next election, which is quite amazing. The Metro, 1,000 abuse victims safer. Landmark day for new protection orders. Minister Jess Phillips says that the Metro's campaign to highlight male violence against women. More than 1,000 abusers have been handed tough new protection orders in the year since they began, OK? The Eye, mansion tax will cause Labour a world of trouble in the budget, warns a top economist, the Daily Mail. Now Reeves hits prudent savers as she prepares £15 billion welfare splurge, the Chancellor to slash the annual cash ISA from 20,000 to 12,000. The Telegraph continue their BBC theme. They go BBC in disarray over bias claims. But the story down the sidebar there, and Jake, I'll start with you on this. Starmer and Lammy escape the mansion tax. What's going on?
Well, you couldn't make it up, could you? So this is allegedly going to be in the budget. They're going to dole the tax, some people are saying, on higher value properties. Now, apparently there has been a debate in government involving government ministers about where this should kick in, and the government picked a figure at random, £2 million. This apparently, according to reports in the Telegraph, started at £1.5 million. And then suddenly a load of cabinet ministers realised that their very posh London houses would be caught by it, including David Lammy and Keir Starmer. Inexplicably, after this discussion, the Telegraph reveals the policy was changed. Typical of the Labour government, everyone should pay more for their expenses houses unless you happen to be a Labour minister.
Carol, what's your views on this?
It's appalling, you know. Jake just said posh London houses at 2 million. That's not a posh London. That's not a posh house in London. And a lot of people would have bought those houses that may well be nearing 2 million. They may well have bought them 30 years ago and have no actual money, but their money is in the house, but they're not going to sell. They need somewhere to live. So this is going to hit people really hard, and it's going to filter down all the way through the market, and it will eventually hit everyone because all the council bans will be changed. And Jake was talking about this earlier. We were talking about it out there. He's saying council tax, and he's right, it's supposed to be about services, providing services for the community. This money isn't going to be used to provide services. This is going to be lobbed into the government pot to pay for welfare, to pay for people who don't work, who don't want to work, who are pretending to be sick and they're not sick. It's just appalling that this is going to hit working and middle-class people. And it's a disgrace in the country. And this thing about the savers as well. People who've saved an ISIS, who've done the right thing all of their lives. 20 grand is a lot of money for someone to put away. And yet she's going to punish all of those people. This government stinks, actually.
Well, go on, Andy. Do you think they're doing the right thing with this stuff?
I think if you own a £2 million house, you're not doing badly, and you should probably pay a bit more tax. I think the whole council tax system is broken because you pay less tax on a mansion in Kensington Borough than you would on a small semi-detached in Mansfield, up in the East Midlands. I think the council tax system is broken. I think if you bought a house 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and now it's worth £2 million, you know, people my age will never be able to buy houses in London. Have they considered going on less holidays or having less Starbucks, or have they considered, you know, curbing?
Because people like me bought a house at 29 by doing exactly that. So don't give me all.
Well, no, I think the fact that house prices have rocketed and wages have stagnated. I think the fact that house prices have rocketed and wages have stagnated will mean I'll never be able to buy a house.
People aren't selling their houses because they need somewhere to live.
Well, why don't they downsize? Why don't they consider their finances more sensibly?
Why should someone who's worked
this council tax is going to go on the triple lock.
Into a box?
I mean, this is going to go and fund the triple lock.
Right, sorry, can I just say something now? I'm absolutely sick of this. People just talking over each other all the time. We've got radio listeners, we've got everything. Let each other speak and then do it, all right? It's unlistenable, it's terrible.
Right,
stop
you're
it, please.
You're absolutely right. You talk.
I think people have to pay their fair share. You know, we constantly get told, young people, oh, you won't be able to afford a house, you can't, you know, do whatever, oh, go on less holidays, don't buy the coffees, don't do X, Y. I think people need to have that at the other end as well, to be honest.
But look, this is the economics of the madhouse, though, because the reason people can't do these things are wages are not growing because the economy is not growing. These things, like taxing the wealthy out of the country, like punishing people who are saving, will not grow the economy. That's where the Chancellor is fundamentally wrong. She is punishing good behaviour, like working hard, paying a mortgage, trying to save money, and rewarding bad behaviour by saying, let's give people who are on sickness benefits a 4% benefit increase. By that logic, the budget should also abolish all duty on alcohol and tobacco, because according to the government, that would stop people smoking and drinking. This is the economics of the madhouse that the Labour Party is driving around the throats of the British people, and they do not want it.
I mean, well, just sorry, I want to get to this actually because it's nuts. So, an Australian senator has been accused of, quote, blatant racism after she wore a burqa as part of a daring protest. So here we go. So check out the reaction here. So here we go. Go on. Yeah, so there you go. That is Pauline Hanson, who's an Australian senator. I mean, she was there to basically protest. Of course, she was condemned by fellow senators. Here is a little clip of some of the reaction.
This is a racist senator displaying blatant racism and Islamophobia, President.
Respecting a faith. She is disrespecting the Muslims out there, Muslim Australians.
Senator Hanson is using a prop in the Senate, and it's a dangerous prop.
Yeah, well, the reason why she did it, actually, was because, obviously, she wanted to introduce a bill that would ban full face coverings in public, and she's campaigned for that. She was told, no, you can't do that. So she thought, well, I'll take it to the extreme then, and I'll rock up in a burqa. But there we are. Right, coming up, we've got a few more newspapers for you as well. So, that's next.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other.
So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Very good morning to you, Christine. Good morning to the pair of you and all the watchers and listeners. Yeah, absolutely. When you look back...
Oh, you still got your hair.
well done.
Good on you.
I think it's shrunk a bit, but still. I can't believe it's 23 years ago. Can you? Well, if you can't, no, nor can I. And people come up to me and say whatever they say, and I usually say, do you realise how long ago that was? Oh, 10 years. What? I said, no, it was 2002. It turned people's view of me completely on its head. And I'd gone into the jungle as one of the most hated women in the country, or disliked, whatever you want to say. And people suddenly saw the real me, and, you know, basically I'm quite nice, I'm fun, I'm kind to animals, you know, and when people get to know the real me, they think, oh, well, she's not this awful old witch that the newspapers had told us she was.
Oh, you're always a battle axe, Christine. You'll always be a battle axe. Come on.
You just have to be yourself. And if yourself, your real self, can't cope with the privations and the boredom, because they deliberately make sure that you're bored most of the time. Don't forget, viewers see a fraction of it. And they also make sure that there's a mix of personalities, so that usually there's that sort of stuff going on. But, I have to say, a tad envious. First of all, they're in the Australian sunshine. Which would be nice. And I mean, what's not to like about it? You get flown out first class. We went Qantas. I have no idea what. I hope they fly the flag. I had a wonderful time. They flew my other half out, because I said, if I'm going to be away for 3 weeks or so, you will have to fly Neil out as well, because otherwise I shall have to put him into care. So they swallowed that.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back, everybody. OK, so 2 more newspaper front pages for you. The Guardian, victory for carers after inquiry into debt scandals. The detail on this is hundreds of thousands of vulnerable unpaid carers will have their cases reassessed after a damning official review concluded they've been left with huge debts because of government failure and maladministration. Gosh. The Sun go for Jade's Jeff in split heartache. Reality star Brazier parts from wife Kate. So TV star Jeff Brazier has split from wife Kate Dwyer after 7 years. I've got to be really honest with you, that's 2 people I've never heard of. So
who's Jade?
I don't know.
Jade's the new girlfriend, I think.
He was married to Jade, or went out with Jade.
Oh, well, there we go. Right, look, let's just... I think one of the better front pages, of course, is the Daily Telegraph anyway. Let's just zone in on that one, because there's a lot about prostate cancer. David Cameron, of course, revealed that he had it. And West Streeting is now... has been urged to approve prostate cancer screening on the NHS. Is this a good thing, do we think?
It's absolutely a good thing, yeah. I mean, I heard a lot of guys on the radio this morning, and they were saying that... And the thing with Cameron is he went to have the test because his wife, Samantha, told him to. She'd heard that that someone that they knew had it, and she told him to go get it, and there he had it. It's really important for guys, because men do not want to talk about being ill or the possibility of, and they certainly don't want to talk about anything to do with their genitals or maybe their sexual performance or whatever. They don't want to talk about it, and so they put it off. And I heard at least 12 guys on the radio today saying they'd been pushed to go for a test by their wives, and these guys had it and were told quite clearly by doctors, had they not gone then, they would not be alive today. So it's really important for guys to forget all the, look after their own health. Don't have other people do it for you. Look after your own health. Go for the test.
And of course, the King made a lot of progress with his diagnosis of cancer as well on this. Look, what David Cameron's pushing for, I think, is really interesting, and I've been campaigning for this for a while, is he's asking for a blanket screening to be made available for people under 50. This has always been resisted because there is a danger with PSA testing that you get a false positive.
You do, yeah.
What Wes Streeting is looking at, which I think is really smart, and I think he's on the right track here, he's looking at people with a higher risk profile and saying, what can we do in the NHS to make sure that those people get screened? I'm interested in this because I am screened every year because my brother died of prostate cancer at 47. So I'm in a high risk group. That isn't available on the NHS, so I have to pay for it privately. I'd love to have it from my NHS GP. He told me I couldn't have it. And I think looking to change this so people in high risk groups get this screening has got to be the right thing to do.
Do you know how much a test costs, Jake? This was the projection before today. A test would only cost £18 per person, 1/8. That's nothing, and it would save lives. Imagine the millions it would save in treatment.
Well, yeah, I mean, Andy, it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like anything you can do to get men checked out a bit more is
well, because
I think it's extremely positive. I mean, last week, Wes Streeting revealed the new men's health strategy, the first ever, really, really positive. Last week, an MP spoke about his experience of being raped in the House, talking about how men should speak out more. I think this is really, really positive, and there should be... Well, I mean, obviously, Wes Streeting had cancer himself, so he's really clued into this, and I think it is exactly what the Labour Party should be doing in power.
Yeah, and probably communicating a bit better out as well, really. Right, look, now, just to finish on something a little bit different, if you thought things in Britain were completely bonkers, just take a look at how the Garden Grove Unified School District in California opened their Board of Education meeting. Well, the traditional Native American dance there was held in recognition of Native American Heritage Month. I don't know, it just seems like there's...
I've been to a lot of governors' meetings, Patrick, and if they open like that, I'd be delighted. What a brilliant thing.
Imagine if the London Assembly opened with that. It would be very nice. It would make it a much cheerier occasion.
Very nice, very nice. I like
it. It's like in Australia where you have to acknowledge that you're doing this on stolen land.
Well, they are, to be fair. The Native Americans did.
Oh, don't make it serious now. This was a lovely...
It was lovely. It was lovely dancing, and I wish you should open your programme.
You know, but the thing is, Andy, you know, have we stolen this land from the Picts, the ancient Britons? The Romans had it for a while.
It's the French.
The Vikings had it for a while.
Stole it from us.
Well, no, the French stole Brittany. Brittany should still be part of Britain.
Well, there we go. On that bombshell, I'm not going to play us out with a bit of tribal dance. I'm just going to come back with all of your newspapers. Stay tuned.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. Temperatures falling away a bit overnight. It'll be a chilly day again tomorrow, but many of us will see some late autumn sunshine and the winds will be a little bit lighter. We've seen a brisk wind today thanks to this area of low pressure. It's slowly pulling away, but it's still providing quite a few showers across northeast Scotland, northeast England, down to East Anglia. And we're seeing a few more showers now coming into West Wales, Cornwall and across Northern Ireland. In between those showery zones, many places dry with lengthy clear spells, and as the winds ease, temperatures dropping down close to freezing. There will, in fact, be a frost over parts of western Scotland and northwest England. Now, the showers across the northeast will gradually fade as we go through tonight, and so a much drier day here. Can't completely rule them out, certainly first thing, but overall a much drier day in Aberdeenshire compared to today. For western and central Scotland, a cold and for many frosty start. For Northern Ireland, the odd shower early on, but again they should be fading through the day. Anglesey, Pembrokeshire, Cornwall, Isles of Scilly, likely to see a few showers in the morning, along with northeast England, and feeding down through the North Sea, parts of Lincolnshire and Norfolk in particular, also susceptible to some showers on Tuesday morning, but they should gradually ease and many areas will be dry And fine with lengthy spells of sunshine. That sun, though, not too strong at this time of year, so it's not going to lift the temperatures too far. Still feeling chilly. If anything, these numbers down on today's values. But remember, the winds will be lighter tomorrow, so perhaps you won't feel quite as cold. With light winds and clear skies, a widespread frost for Wednesday morning. Eastern areas staying fine and dry with some sunshine. But look at this, cloud and rain starting to edge into many western areas during Wednesday. That leads into more cloud and some outbreaks of rain on Thursday, by which time it will be quite a bit milder.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Well, most of the newspaper front pages are gearing up for that nightmare before Christmas budget. Bad news if you're a saver. Bad news if you happen to own a property that basically isn't a hovel. Bad news if you want to create any of your own wealth, essentially. So that's all over the front pages. We're also going to be talking as well about, in fact, an Australian senator who decided to wear a full burqa in protest in the Australian Senate. Have you ever seen anything quite like that before? It's got all that and much more.
It's the final week to see how you can enjoy Christmas on us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.